Hey everyone, Cinephile Mike here, and it is a 63 of Oscar Rewind, my bi-weekly series of videos where I revisit the films that reflect the earlier works of this past year's Oscar nominees and winners. And this week, it's Comic-Con week. So this week's films fall into the sci-fi fantasy realm. And the other films I have planned for October with Halloween coming, the horror realm, all these films kind of fit that, Comic-Con nerd energy that I very much love to have. So it's going to be a good October. So, as always, I'll be discussing the awards history for the film, the box office information, the critical response. These reviews, as always, are spoiler free. And you know what? Before I jump into it, do me a favor, just click that subscribe button, click that like button, because you know you're going to want to get all these beautiful sci fi, fantasy, and horror film reviews coming your way here on Oscar Rewind. So, first up, we are looking at Paramount Pictures' Stardust. Written by Jane Goldman and Matthew Vaughn, the film was directed by Vaughn and is based on the novel of the same name by Neil Gaiman. Stardust was a late summer flick debuting in theaters in early August of 2007. Now, with a reported budget of 70 million, the film was actually a box office success, primarily overseas. Internationally, the film by the end of its run had taken in $98,880,202, so it more than recouped that original budget, and then it made an additional $38,634,938 at the domestic box office. So, almost doubling the original reported budget, the film currently sits at a worldwide total, according to Box Office Mojo, of $137,515,140. Critically, the film was also very well received. As of this reporting, the film sits with a certified fresh rating of 77% on Rotten Tomatoes from a set of 198 reviews, and accounting for a popcorn meter scale culled from over 250,000 reviews, the film sits with an 86%. So, what brings Stardust to Rewind this season? It is for a man who goes by the name of Josh Weston. Now, I have referenced him earlier this season in case you're like, for those that have been with me faithfully, I've heard that name. Who is he? Well, I've discussed him briefly in passing as I did do reviews of his colleagues' films earlier this season. Earlier, I discussed the film Tyrannosaur, which was worked on by Nadia Stacy, and I discussed The Beach, which was worked on by Mark Coulier. So, Mark and Nadia and Josh made up the three-person team that were nominated for and won the Oscar for Best Achievement in Makeup and Hairstyling for the very slick and stylish Poor Things. Weston served as a prosthetic supervisor on Poor Things, and when he worked on Stardust almost 20 years ago, that, according to IMDb, marked his first feature film for which he worked as a prosthetic makeup artist and also pulled double duty serving as the special makeup effects artist. And oh boy, with some of the effects and the prosthetics in Stardust, I'm sure he had fun. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. As for Stardust's own awards journey, it did win some Best Picture recognition. It won Outstanding Film Wide Release at the GLAAD Media Awards, Best Dramatic Presentation in Long Form from the Hugo Awards, and Best Sci-Fi or Fantasy Film by the Empire Awards in the UK. It was also recognized for its overlooked qualities. The Phoenix Films Critics Society awarded it the Overlooked Film of the Year, and the Internet Film Critics Society awarded it with the Most Underrated Film of the Year. So there you have it. It was also nominated for several awards at the Scream Awards and the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Film Awards, but did not win any of those. So, what is this film about? Stardust is the story of young Tristan Thorne, played by Charlie Cox, a resident of Wall, a small English village surrounded by, you guessed it, a wall, with just one small gap in the wall, which is guarded by the townspeople because no one shall cross the wall. Now, Tristan lives his days being a shop boy and living with his dad and pining for the love of his life, Victoria, played by Sienna Miller. And he will do absolutely anything he can do to marry her, even catch a falling star and put it in his pocket. Never let it fade away. Sorry, I got carried away there. But one night, when he is out wooing Victoria with a lovely blanket of in the field with some champagne in the glass, asking for her hand in marriage. Well, she can't grant him that. I mean, Humphrey, the other man about town, played by Henry Cavill, is off getting her an engagement ring, and that's the person that she is to marry. But Tristan will do anything to marry her. I mean, he's the one. And then as they're saying this, there goes a shooting star that crash lands on the other side of the wall. To which Victoria says that if he goes and fetches the falling star, she will marry him. She gives him a week. And so off he goes and finds his way across the wall to get the fallen star to bring it back to Victoria. Now, why did that star fall? Well, on the other side of the wall in the kingdom of Stormhold, the king, played by Peter O'Toole, is sadly on his deathbed and he rallies his remaining children that are still alive to come around and he shares that whomever is able to recover his ruby necklace will rule Stormhold. And then he throws it into the sky. It goes flying. He passes, and the sons are off to get the ruby. But of course, through a series of events, there's only going to be two. Primus, played by Jason Fleming, and Septimus, played by Mark Strong, because all of the others are, well, out of the running, because these brothers are at constant battle of who will live and who will not in order to get the throne. Now it's the ruby when it's thrown that hit the falling star, which is what caused it to come crashing down. And now that the star has crashed, we see that this star is actually in the form of a person. Named Yvain and played by Claire Danes, she's lying in the middle of a crater and ultimately now has said jewel around her neck. Now, ultimately, Tristan does find Yvain and sets off to return her and take her to Victoria, as that is his promise because Victoria is his one true love. Y'all see where this is going, but I'm not going to spoil that fully. Now, as they go on their journey, it will not be easy because they will need to deal with the repeated attempts of the king's sons to get the ruby back. And also, as a fallen star, she sparks the need of, I guess I'm going to call them the Witches Three, the Sisters Three, a trio of witches who want to consume the star's heart in order to be young and strengthen their powers. And just sounding a little bit like Hocus Pocus, a little bit. Um, so this is another challenge. The three sisters only have a small little piece of a previous star's heart. So the trio's leader, Lamia, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, consumes this, becomes young and beautiful and strong with her power, and she sets off to get the new star to bring back to her sisters. Along the way, they will also come up against some interesting forces, such as a group of pirates, led by Captain Shakespeare, quite an interesting ship captain played by Robert De Niro. Oh, so there's another Rewind connection this season. I didn't mention that earlier. So De Niro and Josh Weston, there's two. So everything will ultimately culminate in a battle that will have some interesting outcomes, as there will be other characters who come into play that have a hand in this whole plot line. And I'm going to stop it there because I don't want to spoil too much. Look, I really enjoy this film. It's a very funny film, and the good thing is it recognizes itself as silly, and the cast fully commits to their performances in all of its absurdity. And that is honestly why it works. You know, often we get these fantasy films where cast members feel out of place, some are trying harder than others, but Vaughn walks the nice line of including the action, getting the comic timing, moving things along, and even though the plot is a bit complicated and there are a lot of pieces you have to string together at the end, you're actually able to follow them and you're never like, wait, what? Oh, that's a cop out. No, it's all nicely moving along. I mean, maybe the Captain Shakespeare plot I would have taken out to give some attention to some of the other characters that we met. But again, it's still a delight. Cox and Danes are delightful in the roles they play. You know, you wonder if there's going to be something more than just a friendship for them and what happens when he gets back to Victoria. And, you know, Sienna Miller really relishes that, like, mean girl manipulative energy of uh, a Regina George, so it's kind of fun. And also, as Lamia, oh, I can't ever say enough good things about Michelle Pfeiffer. She's just chewing away at the scenery, and I wish I'd had more screen time with her. Maybe a little less with De Niro, more for her. But again, I don't want to take away. De Niro's very comical. He does not play your stereotypical ship pirate, and there's a lot of fun. And in Septimus, I'm going to highlight Mark Strong gives us another great gleeful villain that we just love to hate. And visually, the film is also delightful. Talking about Weston's work here, the reason I'm here, there's a lot of fun creativity you can see, whether it's the various states of youth or older age on Pfeiffer and her two sisters. There's also a lot of fun prosthetics works done on the king's sons because when they're gone, their spirits remain, and the spirits are, how they died. So if they have a flat face or an axe in the head or something other tragic, we get to see it. So I have a feeling Weston had a lot of fun when he was piecing all of this together. And it's all played in a beautiful backdrop. Gavin Boquette's production design, along with the whole art direction team, supervised by Peter Russell, really give us the two nice, delightful settings. The Kingdom of Stormhold is kind of like that great Robin Hood Men in Tights or Monty Python kind of film, with the King Arthurian type castle and grounds. So it's beautiful to see. And the village of Wall is very delightful and so simplistic. You almost expect Belle to come skipping along and singing with one of her books. If you give yourself over to the silliness of the film, you are going to thoroughly enjoy it. And it also faithfully adapts the source material. I remember reading it years ago and thinking it was pretty accurate, and other critics have said the same. Now, if you're looking for something more along the lines of like an epic Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones thing here, you will be disappointed. Also, how could I have forgotten to say? The whole film is also narrated by the great Sir Ian McKellen. So, what else can I say about that? All in all, Stardust is a very solid, enjoyable four-star film. Great performances, lots of fun. There's something for everyone man, woman, young, old. It's got something for everyone. If you would like to catch the film as of this recording and posting, it is streaming on Amazon Prime Video. So there you have it. One of the Comic Con week flicks is done, and the next one will be coming this Friday. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, spread the word. You can follow me on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd and find great stuff on my website, cinephilemike.com, including some great print reviews of the amazing films that I've seen as part of the 40th Annual International Documentary Awards and the 36th Annual New York LGBTQ Plus Film Festival. Happy watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.